Minister, carbon tax. I wouldn't have an issue with carbon tax if there was an alternative. I really wouldn't, because if there's an alternative to carbon tax, if you had infrastructure, which we don't have, but at the present time we do not have infrastructure. And carbon tax is an unjust tax at a time that we don't have alternatives. And it's an unjust tax on people that have no other choice but to drive a car, drive a diesel or petrol car. It's an unjust tax for people that have to pay for private buses because there's no alternative for government to providing bus services. It's an unjust tax for people that don't qualify to get on the bus and they have to be driven to work because the bus facilities are not there at the present moment, even though you've given out free bus transport to school. And in our area, they've been giving out free bus transport, but the CIE rules, our bus airing rules, have changed to say that the buses that they can only provide for the area, because of the width of the roads, because they're not allowed to cut the hedges, means that they have to put on a smaller bus for safety of the people going to school. But because the smaller bus is on, we're short 10 and 15 seats in our area. But the roads are big enough for a milk lorry to get on them, but they're not allowed to carry a bigger bus on it. So that means then that I have 12 and 14 families in each of the different areas that have to drive their children to school, even though the government have said we're providing free transport. That's an unfair tax. We carry our children to sports events all around the county and all around the country, and those people, some of them go on to represent our counties in different sports. And for us to do that, carbon tax is an unjust tax. You look at any of the services that are within the government's remit at the moment. You talk the ambulance service, the fire service, the Garda service. None of them have electric vehicles, because they wouldn't do their job, because in the middle of a chase, hold on now for 2 minutes, I must plug in my car and recharge it. They're not, they are all, because they're within your own government, so you can justify the taxes, because we're going to pay for it. The people without alternatives. We all have an agenda to save the planet. When there's alternatives, there is no alternatives for me. There is no alternatives for people in the outer part of Dublin. They're telling me that there's no alternatives for them here. The Garda service will tell me they can't use the alternatives to come to work because there's no transport there at the time of their shift work. The frontline workers tell me the same. There's no alternative for them to do it. So it's an unjust tax on the people that we depended on during COVID. Your job is to protect the people of Ireland in the present, and we deal then with the future. But you have no future if you have no infrastructure, so it's an unjust tax for everyone in this country because there is no alternatives. And in an ideal world, Minister, there would be alternatives. But at the present time, there isn't. But all you're giving with this unfair tax is you're bringing misery to people that have no alternatives, which is more than 70% of the country don't have alternatives. And if you go to the type of vehicles that are there today, and they can't afford to change to electric vehicles, right? And even with electric vehicles, you're going to bring on the BIK for electric vehicles. So, Minister, see common sense. Protect the people that put you in the position that you're in, and then work for the future. That is called common sense. You can't get it in a book. You have to live it, and live it through our eyes. And Minister, I'm going to finish with this. For many years, since I've been up here 2.5 years, you've been invited down to live my life through my eyes. And I told you, I will put you up with the best of hospitality, but I want you to live the type of life that you think you would like to live in my life, and see how long you'd last, because it wouldn't work. So please reconsider this unjust tax on everybody in this country. Thank you.